CHGO Cubs presented by Toyota and Bet365. Cade Horton gets his third win. PCA, Bushy in the offense. Light up the Nats. We're loading up the beer bat. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota, Let's Go Places, and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign-up. Cubs win 8-3 in the nation's capital, a win to start the series against the Nationals, coming off an off day on Monday. Nice win for the Cubs. Nice and easy. I don't need the Pepto-Bismol. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Del Mendo with you. Sarah running the ones and twos for us, as always.
16 games over 500.
16 games
That's
over
how you
500.
math right there.
That is how you math.
That is how you math in these parts.
And that's in early June, and they are, what, undefeated in June, did you say?
Undefeated in
undefeated
June, brother.
Undefeated.
Haven't lost to the Nationals all
Never
season.
lost. Never lost in June 2025.
Shout out to everybody in the live YouTube chat here at the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe to the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Make sure you like it. Make sure you tell a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a total stranger on the sidewalk, whatever it might be. Tell them and check out our content. We had some great shorts going up during the show, by the way. Everybody's in the chat. They're already predicting Cody's time for the Beer Bat Chug. That will be second segment. But I see that already Craig has predicted 969.
That's a daily.
On the
At this
Beer
point,
Bat
it's a
Chug.
daily thing because I don't remember the last time we did a losing post game, which is so fun to say. By the way, I really don't remember the last time we did a losing post game.
You have a potential, or you are potentially going to be drinking 5 days out of 7 this week?
Something
Yeah.
like that.
6 out of 7 this week?
Yeah, Cody's going to have to make cuts other places if this keeps up, right? You're going to have to be like,
I mean,
it's like me right now, no sweets.
they didn't.
Starting next
They
week.
won on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And then they swept the Rockies last week, so they won all those games. And then the series before that, I've lost track, man. I don't remember the last time we did a losing post game.
Well,
And let me just again emphasize that that's awesome.
yeah, they're 15-4 since they started playing this week stretch of the schedule, right? They played the Mets and the Giants, but when they finished playing the Mets, they've gone now 15-4 in that 19-game stretch. That's great. Finish it off. Love the way that they're trending towards another series win here in the Capitol. It won't be easy tomorrow against Mackenzie Gore. We'll talk about that in a bit. But this game was about offense. This was 7 unanswered runs by the offense again. And the Cubs offense averaging more than 6 runs a game on the road this season. And it just continues. And it continues to score in different ways. And once again, let's just it's probably Michael Busch highlighted in this game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to him next. Because PCA's doing it again. And he's getting on base and he's stealing bases. And the stats were flying across my Twitter throughout the game. But, you know, we've been hounding on him to say, man, I'd love to see him walk more. If he could just walk more, imagine how productive he could be. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to take away the aggressiveness, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to take away that player. So 2 walks, 2 stolen bases tonight. And the stats were 4th fastest player to reach 15-plus homers and 20-plus stolen bases in the modern era since 1900. Eric Davis in 87 is the fastest. Then Ken Williams, Bobby Bonds, Barry's father, 1973, and now PCA. He's on pace for a 40-40, and he's the only guy in all of baseball that's on pace for a 40-40. I don't know what else to say, but if you haven't realized it, he's in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about Pete Henry Crow Armstrong either, Luke Stuckmeyer. This guy, I mean, he displayed all the tools, all the things that he scares teams with. I mean, the stolen bases, 21 stolen bases, tied for the most in baseball with Luis Robert Jr., I believe. What makes me so giddy about him, honestly, though, from tonight's game, is the fact that he was at third base after he stole third in that third or fourth inning.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was Carson Kelly who hit a ground ball to third base, and the third baseman, he hesitated and he tried to, he was trying to be the smart guy and maybe get PCA off the bag too much. And instead, he didn't end up getting an out.
He was baited.
Yes, he was baited by PCA. And he's just so dangerous on the base paths. And then, I mean, he was inches or maybe more of a few feet away from hitting a homer into the second deck.
Blasted it.
107 miles per hour. So we're talking about a guy who has that kind of power, that kind of speed. He is an elite defensive player. He has more DRS and outs above average and for outfielders, I believe, in all of baseball. And yeah, he's on pace for a 40-40 season. It's unreal. It's unreal. It really is. And I used to dream at times like this. That's just all it is.
Carrie and Craig in the live YouTube chat talking about crazy how we traded Javi for a Javi.
Yeah.
Prime Javi for a Javi.
And a Trevor Williams.
Yes, and you sit there and you watch him, and that's all you can think of when he pulls that play at third base, baiting the third baseman, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is he stole the base, then he pulls some electric move on the base paths, and it's going to lead to a run, and he's helping the team in not just small ways, but exciting ways. This is why baseball, not Pete Crow Armstrong, this is why baseball needed to adjust the rules a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They had to get back to base running has become one of my favorite things to watch in a baseball game. Now, don't get me wrong. My favorite thing is the pitch clock.
We know that you like those fast games.
We all know I love the pitch clock, but my second favorite thing is that base running and stealing bases makes a difference in a game now. Yeah. That it's become part of the Cubs' arsenal in the most prolific offense in the National League. Mm-hmm. This is what they can do. They can run you to death. They can out-hit you to death. They can homer you to death. They can do all the different things. They can play defense until you drop dead.
Yeah.
And they did it again tonight. And PCA is the guy out of everybody on the team that highlights each one of those categories.
Yeah. Gary in the chat says PCA is better than Javi. And I mean, Javi.
Oh, I agree. Like he could be. But remember, Javi was in an MVP conversation once too.
In 2018, he was an MVP runner-up. There's still a lot of time to debate this, I guess. But this season alone, I mean, this guy's on pace for 10 WAR. And Javi Baez never did that. I'm just saying, man.
We all hope he's better than Javi, but right now, I'm not saying he's the same player as Javi or that the same thing is going to happen to Javi or that he is or isn't better than Javi. He just does things on the base pass and with an energy that can only be described as Javi-esque.
Yeah.
At his peak.
At his peak, yeah. And they're very similar players. So, but it's just these little things that he does. He's always going to be, they're always going to tweet videos of him hitting that grand slam in Cincinnati, or making an insane play to rob a guy of a hit like he did on Saturday against the Reds. They'll always do that stuff, but it's these little things. And tonight he really showed that. I mean, I don't remember Javi Baez ever walking twice in a game, at all, and he's done it twice in the last couple days.
But you remember Javi baiting fielders into making mistakes.
Yeah.
You certainly do.
So I do think Michael Busch is the headline of this game specifically, but it's just so hard to not want to talk about PCA, man.
Every night. Even on the nights where he's like 0 for 5, then the guy gets on base and steals third in extra innings, and you're like, we got to talk about PCA.
Or he robs someone of a hit that the ball had 10% probability on Saturday. He finds a way, one way or another. he finds a way to impact the game, and not many guys can do that. And MLB.com today posted a graphic. I don't know who these quote-unquote experts are, but they had him ranked second in terms of MVP votes, in terms of for a poll that they did, with Ohtani number 1. And listen, we all know, I've said this, like, Shohei Ohtani is probably one of the greatest just athletes that I have ever seen. The fact that he can throw as hard as he can and hit the way that he can, to me, he is, outside of Barry Bonds and peak Mike Trout and Albert Pujols, probably, Shohei Ohtani is one of the greatest baseball players I've ever seen. But in 2025, PCA is on pace to be better than him in terms of WAR, and then just in how much he is impacting the game. Ohtani is, right now as we speak, is just a DH. He'll probably pitch. Yeah. But you can't win MVP every year. We sat here and watched Michael Jordan not win it every year. You cannot convince me that PCA is not right. If not the MVP, he is right there in top 2 in the conversation right now, man. You cannot convince me he's not. He's impacting the game in so many ways every single night. We came into this season talk about Kyle Tucker, bet MVP for Kyle Tucker because he's going to change his game. And listen, he's number 5 on this poll, right? But PCA has been even more impactful than him in many ways. We got a long season to go. Yes. Will he slump at some point with the bat? Perhaps. But right now, dude, it is June 3rd, and this guy is just doing some insane stuff, dude. I can't explain it any other than it's just insane. No one thought that we would see a version of him like this, at least at 23 years old.
If you have a list out of MVP candidates right now, and Javi's not in the top 2.
You mean PCA?
PCA. PCA. Sorry, I messed it up. Clown comment, bro.
Well, you just got them both kind of mixed up.
I did. No, I meant it's a clown comment if you don't have PCA in your list. Yeah. It's just crazy. He absolutely is at least 1 or 2 on the list.
Yeah.
Period. And the reason you're giddy and every once in a while I hear you go, hee, over there, is because we begged for a superstar. And when he does things like baiting the third baseman, we all get a little giddy because we finally found a guy that you can't take your eyes off of when he's on the baseball diamond. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. We will talk about Michael Busch as well, because this was 2 hits Sunday, 3 hits tonight, and another home run. Somebody in the chat just said it, that Michael Busch is the guy that nobody in baseball is talking about, right?
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And it's true. We said on our off-day show yesterday, he's about as under the radar as you can go.
Yeah. I like Carrie's comment. Credit to Cody for hyping up Busch. I said on Sundays, like, we need to talk more about him. Like, we haven't really talked a ton about him. I was looking at his stats on Sunday, and he's right up there among some of the top first basemen, and if not all of baseball, the National League. And he gives you above average defense. Could probably win a Gold Glove one day, and the home away splits, I don't know what they are, but I would lean to guess he's better on the road than he is at Wrigley. But I feel like we can say that about a lot of Cubs, considering the offense that we've seen at Wrigley so far this year and on the road. Whether you want to blame win factors or whatever, that's another conversation to be had later. But the point is that Michael Busch, to me, he has taken a step forward in his development this year. I tweeted this morning from CHGO Cubs. Last year, 55 games in, he had a 35% K rate. As we going into the game tonight, he had a 24.5% K rate. That's 10% less. He's making more contact. He's still hitting home runs. That was his 9th homer of the season tonight. I think he's given you an even better season to this point than his rookie. And I know you had concerns about what he could be in year 2, but and
it wasn't that I doubted him. It just, one season is a small sample size.
Oh yeah, and
in a baseball career, we just don't know.
I'm not even saying that you're wrong.
I know.
I think there was fair reason to have some concerns to see how he would adjust. He didn't exactly have the best second half last year, right? But this year, it hasn't been like the 5 straight days with a homer, but it's just consistently been a productive player for them.
All right, as we head to break, here's the question I want you to ask yourselves in the chat. Should he be playing every day? Should we stop the whole platoon thing? But first, a word from our sponsors. Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. First up, there's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. Then there's the Grand Highlander. Plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families and long road trips. Looking for efficiency? Corolla's got you covered. It's smart, it's stylish, it's easy on gas. Need something a little bit tougher? The Tacoma brings serious durability. And finally, there's the Camry. Sleek, fun to drive, and packed with performance. You could check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. Great time to sign up and be a CHGO diehard. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO diehards in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level. Just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home flooring advantage. Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been in those big box stores. They might have a flooring department, but the person helping you in flooring may have been working in the old garden center yesterday. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, so it's a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home, get precise measurements taken there, and have all your questions answered. Seat with your furniture in your house. Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule an installation as soon as the next day. Everybody loves next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. CHGO listeners, pay attention. You receive $350 off. What a discount when using the code CHGO at promo code. You heard me right. $350 discount by using the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. Now, Cody Delmendo, after a win, you know that what happens here, as long as we're not out of beer, Cody loads up the old beer bat. And he likes to pour it a little bit earlier because it warms up a little bit. It's a little bit easier to chug. You have, I think it's only 2 out of all the beer bat chugs all season, which have been a lot because the Cubs are winning, and that's great. Only 2 have not reached our measurement of 10.25 seconds being a quality chug. So the pressure's on. Let us know what you think in the chat, what the predictions are. Again, we've seen 969 already. Nice. Sarah's got the official clock. I have the backup clock, and we're going to get the dedication. But remember, Cody's beer bat chug does not begin until the beer hits his lips.
Yeah. I mean, don't we have to give it to Michael Busch tonight? I feel like you have to give it to Michael Busch.
Have to.
Yeah.
Like he was a double away from the cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just talked about it, so I won't say too much else, but maybe June is the month of Busch because 2 games into June, he's delivering here. So
how about here's to Michael Busch batting against righties and lefties?
Yeah. We can talk more about that after I do the chug, but yeah, you got to give it to Michael Busch tonight.
Here we go.
Basically, was a big part of
Cubs win 8-3. Cody Delmendo, the beer bat chug, and he's ready to begin. Takes a deep breath and begin. The clock is underway. Cody Delmendo ready at 3 seconds, but he's powering through the barrel of the bat, right through the bat. This is not one of those tornado bats, and he is done. Yeah. I got him at 9.57. You had him at 10.85.
I think I started a second too soon.
Yeah, I think we averaged that out. I think
that's
it's a quality beer
below 10.
bat chug.
Yeah, that's below 10 seconds.
He's right at it. He's right around.
That's a quality chug.
10.25.
And that's all foam. Just for people in the chat that thought he was cheating last time, I promise it's mostly just foam.
Yeah.
Benjamin's calling for the summer of Busch. Beer bats for Busch, John Bone says.
Well,
anyways, nicely done. So far, what I've seen mostly in the live YouTube chat here at the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to right now and tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger. What I've seen is most people are saying play him. What was the one right up there? Yeah, right there. KM says Busch needs to play every day, regardless of pitcher. It'll help him gain experience. If you're having a rough day, then you can, if he's having a rough day, then you can use Turner late. listen, at some point, the Cubs are going to come and Craig Counsell are going to come to the split in the road.
Yep.
And you're going to have to say, do we want this guy to be, do we want to give this guy a chance to become and be on the same level of a Freddie Freeman, of a Pete Alonso at the plate? Like, do you want to start to put him into the elite first baseman in baseball? Because there are some good ones. If you want him to do that, he's got to hit against everybody.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with the platoon up to this point. And I'd even have less trouble with the platoon if Turner were raking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm getting to the point now, and this is a stretch again, we're finishing up weak opponents, that I would like to see them start to push it a little more. By the way, the home run he hit the other day was against a lefty straight into the wind.
Yeah. He's got great power.
The only way we're going to see how he eventually got to put him out there.
Well,
I'm at that point.
This is why. Let me start over. I think that everyone is correct for the most part. I do think that there are certain matchups for Busch against lefties that bother me.
And that's okay.
And I don't know how to describe them. But I do think that in general, I would like to see Michael Busch play more against lefties, especially since Turner, I think, is better suited as, your situational hitter off the bench. And let's just be real. It's June 3rd, and he's had a few nice moments. He hit a homer in Cincinnati, had the walk-off hit against the Marlins. He's had some moments, but it's not like he got hot and has been rolling since then. So I think Busch is definitely deserving of more opportunities against lefties. But yeah, I obviously tonight Turner was in the lineup because Tucker was out. And I think Busch would have been in the lineup because Trevor Williams has been terrible against lefties, and he showed it tonight. So, yeah, I think in certain matchups I get it, but overall, I would like to see Busch get more opportunities against lefties. So, it's a very type conversation in my opinion.
However,
but yeah, I just don't know how to explain which lefties I don't want him to face.
Right. And so to play devil's advocate on this, while I want to see him at least increase the amount of guys that they're willing to let him face against lefties, I'm anxious to see it. I think fans are anxious to see it. At the same time, shouldn't we trust Craig Counsell?
Yes.
Isn't this why we hired Craig Counsell? Isn't this why when they signed him to the biggest contract for any manager that we said, well, he's the smartest guy in baseball. He gets the most out of his players. He helps develop players. I don't want to say it's 100% the right time for Michael Busch to start playing every single day, even against lefties. My heart tells me that, but my brain tells me wait for Counsell to make that decision.
Yeah.
So I understand that part of it too. This is why he's a $40 million manager, we think.
And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't sit here and criticize Craig anytime. I want to say...
I'm not even criticizing. I'm just questioning.
Yeah, there was a game, I think it was Saturday, the 2-0 win over the Reds. The offense was terrible all day. Justin Turner started that day and Busch sat. Later in that game, Turner came up. I believe there was a runner on base. And by that time, the Reds had brought a righty in. Now, I think they had a lefty up in the pen ready to go. Perhaps if Craig would have pinch hit with Busch. So I guess it was a game of cat and mouse between the two managers. But it's one of those where I'm like, let's force them to use another arm. You know what I mean? In my opinion. It didn't end up mattering. The Cubs won. But I feel like if you're going to play Turner, once you get into a bullpen for another team and they have right-handed hitters or right-handed pitchers coming out, it's like, we need to get Busch in the game, man, especially for defense. At the bare minimum for defense.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So right now I'm looking up to see how many at-bats he had at this point against lefties last year compared to this year. I'm intrigued to see what that is.
And I hear Urban Phoenix, I agree with you, 4 for 24 off left-handed pitching this season, batting 166 against lefties. Obviously, there are reasons that Craig Counsell is still doing it. That's why I'm saying, while my heart says the only way Busch is going to get better at facing lefties is facing lefties, I know that Craig Counsell knows more baseball than I know.
Sure.
And all of us combined. So because we've put all this faith in on the Cubs have put all this money into their manager, I'm willing to trust what he's seen. And that's the way he wants to develop Michael Busch as a player. I have no problems with the path that Michael Busch has taken. It's been a great trade. He's delivered in every way the Cubs have asked him to deliver. I'm hoping that someday he's going to make that switch. I'm hoping for it to be sooner than later. But like Urban Phoenix, I'm also willing to wait for Craig Counsell.
Yeah.
I'm not going to scream at the clouds for Michael Busch to face left-handed pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart wants to see it more because I want to see him be an all-around, fully developed star at first base.
Yeah. I'm having problems trying to figure out how to find out how many at-bats he had against lefties at this time last year. But yeah, I in general, I do agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and David Snyder says Busch has been bad so far against lefties, which we've acknowledged. Counsell's a big stats guy.
24 at-bats, though, is a small sample.
It is a very small sample size. And by the way, the batting average for Justin Turner is not much better than that 166. But he does say that's why if it ain't broke, he won't try to fix it. That's possible. But somebody else in the chat also made the point, and I agree with this too, that when you get to the postseason, I don't want to be pigeonholed into Michael Busch can't face a lefty, so we are forced to play someone who might be ice cold over at first base because I want the defense first and foremost.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to get to that point and we're 16 games over 500, I don't know when the time is, but eventually I believe this season there will come a time where they will make the switch if Turner doesn't, start to really get hot. There will be a switch eventually to at least try him a little more often against lefties.
Yeah. I mean, because I can't find out, I'm struggling to figure out how many at-bats or plate appearances he had against the lefties to this point last season. We can just look at what he had last year and then come against lefties and then look at where he's at this year, which we've already kind of discussed it. Last year against lefties, he had a 103 WRC plus with a 712 OPS. Now, how many games or bats that was in 100 plate appearances. So, it's not like he doesn't get plate appearances.
Right.
He got 100 plate appearances over the course of a season against lefties, and a lot of fans make it seem like he doesn't face lefties at all. And I just don't think that's true. I think that's why when this conversation is brought up, I'm kind of like, well, it's not like he doesn't face lefties. He faced lefties last year, just not every single day.
Right.
So 100 plate appearances against lefties last year. This year he's up to 20. He's at 28 here on June 3rd. So is he on pace to get to 100? I don't know. I don't math that well.
Right. Our guy Gary Ross says play him while Tucker is out, and we don't know how long that's going to be. Tucker didn't play tonight, but we'll see. I'm totally cool with that idea. Just the smaller sample size. To make an analogy in my life, it's sort of like potty training.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't work the first 24 times doesn't mean you still want to try and get to that end goal before it really matters.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's going to be some failure along the way. I trust Craig Counsell to know when that decision needs to be made.
Yeah. And right now is a good opportunity for him because he's going to play if Kyle Tucker's out. Now, the Cubs said that maybe 1 or 2 more days he'll be out.
Right.
But if there's, they got to face Mackenzie Gore tomorrow. That's a lefty. He's going to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
After a night like tonight, I would be shocked if he's not in the lineup tomorrow, especially if Tucker doesn't play. So
that's a tough lefty matchup. All
Yes.
right. We're coming right back. We want to talk about Cade Horton, where he's at, but first we have a word from our sponsors.
Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season, spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. I had Michael Busch to hit a homer tonight. I had Michael Busch on total bases tonight.
Hello.
I had CJ Abrams to score a run. He did that in the first inning.
Hello.
And yeah, my PCA over 29.5 stolen bases for the season prop looks really, really good right now.
Your app was green and you're buying dinner tomorrow.
So download the new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, we've all been there, right? Cody's been there. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
Your parlay is one leg away, and then the relief pitcher gives up a walk-off bomb in the ninth inning. It's total heartbreak. Sound familiar? The Hall of Fame app is built to fix that. HOF. Started by two lifelong sports fans who have been happy all of their lives, and they also happen to be Ivy League grads, so they're smart. HOF makes parlay research smart, faster, and data-driven. This is not your buddy's group chat full of hot takes. It's full analytics, a full analytics engine. The HOF app gives you access to your advanced stats, historical data, powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app is built for your everyday sports fan, so it's easy to use. No matter the sport, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, and real insight, not just hype. They believe anything the books know, you should know too, because parlays don't have to be dumb bets, and they aren't. With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 five-star reviews, HOF has already helped a lot of people bet smarter. Limited time only. Our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, they get 50% off their first month when they use the code CHGO at checkout. HOF app is on iOS, Android, or visit HOFbets.com. Enter the code CHGO.
Yeah. My buddy Frank just signed up this week. So, shout out to him.
We have a Toyota Super Chat back here on CHGO Cubs after an 8-3 Cubs win. Our guy Steven has jumped in, and he loves to throw the cash at us, and we appreciate it, Steven.
Yep.
$2, he said, I would like to see Jonathon Long if he is legit. He has been tearing it up at AAA. I think it was Jim Callis, it might have been an article from Marquee.
Yeah.
They were raving about him at AAA and how good he's been and the progress that he's made, and he said, I think it was Callis said, right now, if the Cubs had a minor league player of the year,
It'd be him.
It would be Long.
Yeah.
The problem is that he is blocked.
He just has no spot, really.
He has no spot on this team this year unless there is, knock on the wood, an injury. So it's a great guy to have down there. And it's also a great guy. You don't want to say this, but it's a great guy to have in your arsenal if teams are looking to, if you're trying to get that starter at the end of the year, and you feel you're confident that Busch is your guy, then that's a guy that's a chess piece, if nothing else.
Yeah, a little info about him. If you don't know who Jonathon Long is, he's first off, it's not like he's like Matt Mervis where he was like 25, 26. This guy's 23 years old. Yeah. Was taken in the draft by the Cubs in 2023 in the 9th round. Which is great value. He really emerged in the minors last year at high A, 247, 346 with a 417, 120 WRC plus in 68 games, but then moved up to double A and just went insane. Had a 188 WRC plus, slash line 340, 455, 528 in 46 games. So that's about a 100-game sample size. Ended up being 283, 391, 461 with a 148 WRC plus in the 2024 minor league season. This year, he's just continued it. He's slashing 344, 419 with a 561 slug, with a 434 weighted on base average and a 154 WRC plus. The guy has been mashing. Saw him a lot in spring training this year. Craig Counsell has said good things about him. Listen, man, I don't know. I don't really know how he fits on this team right now. It's a good problem to have, maybe he can be used in a trade for a really, really like a controllable piece. That would be awesome. It's not like he's entered like the top 100 prospects. But he is 23 and he's hitting well. His walk rate is around 11%, 23% K rate. So right around league average. I mean, he's performing. He's definitely performing well enough to where I think you can sit here and make an argument that, like, yeah, it'd be nice to see if he can get an opportunity. I just really don't know where he goes. He plays third base. He can play a little outfield, I think, too.
Yeah, and first. But
in first, okay.
I can see the path to where he'll get an opportunity this year. Yeah. It's going to take something happening on the roster, obviously, but I also don't want him to just come up here and play very sparingly.
Yeah, he's got to play every
Justin
day.
Turner's going nowhere.
Yeah, Justin Turner's
going nowhere this year. So just accept that for the moment, and understand that it's great to have a guy that you drafted in the 9th round taking a huge step this year at AAA. Is he going to be a perfect player? No, but his value has started to climb. Yeah. And whether that value ends up being in the Cubs organization or for the Cubs organization, we will find out. But either way, you're rooting for him to continue doing what he's doing. Now, same thing can be said for Cade Horton. Cade Horton makes the start, and you could argue that each start is getting progressively better. Mm. I liked his last start. Some would say this was his best start because it was against a team that could hit, and it was a really strange lineup. I've never seen it. I heard Counsell say he's never seen it in all of his baseball days. Ron Coomer has never seen it. Have you ever seen a lineup of all lefties? No. So it's a weird thing to go up against, first of all.
Yeah.
And he did a nice job. 5 1/3, 3 earned runs. Here's what I really liked about it, Cody. Mm-hmm. And this is what I've liked about basically all of his starts. 3 runs or less every time out. Mm-hmm. Great. That's what we want to see, and it's continuing to look better. He has 5 appearances, I believe, 5 total walks. One of the big things they wanted him to work on down in AAA was the walks. Don't just give away pitches, and don't give away worthless pitches in at-bats. Yeah. Because in the major leagues, you won't get away with it. 5 appearances, 5 walks. And just 1 in this game. I don't care about the 3 strikeouts right now. I like what I see from Cade Horton. It's, to me, again, it's going to get real interesting with the Ben Brown, Cade Horton situation. How do they handle both of them moving forward this season? I don't know. But were you impressed with the start tonight?
I mean, it's not like it was smooth sailing like it had been the last couple ones. You gave up a run in the first inning. Abrams leadoff hit, stole second. Base hit with 2 outs, scored him. And then, honestly, the next time when he gave up 3 runs, I thought it should have been an error on Michael Busch. And they didn't charge Busch with an error. The ball hit him or hit the glove or something, and it went in the outfield.
He didn't make it easy on Horton. That's for sure.
That inning, he did walk the leadoff man on 4 pitches, and you can't have that, right? But
it was his only walk. I agree. It's the wrong guy to walk, but
yeah, it was like the 8-hitter too. Yeah, and so you have that, and then the error. But I will say that he limited the damage well. It's not like he had a blow up inning like we've watched Ben Brown have at certain times where he's given up 5, 6, 7 runs in an inning. He allowed 2. It was 3-1, and you have the Chicago Cubs offense that we've gotten to watch this year. And the Cubs came back, and we all watched how it played out. And we just talked about PCA and Michael Busch in the first segment, or first and second segment. So overall, it's my only real thing about him that I'm like concerned about. I don't even know if I should say concerned is he came out with 77 pitches, and we've talked about it before. Like when he was in the minors, I guess he had never made a start where he threw over 80 pitches.
He has here.
Yeah, and he has here twice. But because of where the rotation is right now, it's like you would have liked to be able to see him go a little bit longer. Now, he was in some trouble, and whatever. It didn't end up hurting the Cubs. But it is one of those domino effect things, like, if he could, even get up to 90 pitches in an outing like that, maybe he could have got 6 innings for you tonight. You know what I mean? And so what I mean by domino effect, it's like we've been using the bullpen a lot, It's, this week though, Tyone, quality start. Ben Brown, whether you want to call it a quality start or not, use an opener. He still pitched 6 innings, so I'm just going to count that as a quality start. And I'm forgetting what everyone else did, but they've been good this past week because they played the Rockies and the Reds. But overall, especially since Shota and Steele have gone out, it's like you'd like to get more innings when you have a starter out there with 77 pitches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my point. It's nothing really against him. This is more on the Cubs to me than it is him. But at some point, it would be nice to be able to get more bullets out of him. And I don't know if that's going to happen this year. So that is what it is, I guess. So it comes back to the fact that they're just going to need to trade for a starter, and that's fine.
I think I know the answer to this question, but are they taking him out of games because they're worried about too many pitches for him this year?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they taking him out of games strictly because of situation, and they want him to succeed, and the answer is probably both.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of what happened today in the NBA. Tibbs fired by the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one argument you have against Tom Thibodeau, everybody has the same argument. He plays the guys too much. He has never changed. When you're in a game that's a 20-point blowout, he'll still have Derrick Rose running on the floor and Jimmy Butler earning extra minutes on their knees and their ankles, and Joe Keem will be running up and down the floor. The players love him. But that's the knock-on thing. Like, he will not change that. Now, I can't say with 100% it's the right thing in the NBA to do.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to agree that Tibbs is a little crazy. Like, his point is, if you don't do it all season long, you're never going to do it in the postseason when I need you to do it.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean you can't take a guy out with 2 minutes left in the game for meaningless running up and down the floor. So let's take that analogy to baseball. There is, as this was said by Ian Happ, there is no analysis that actually shows limiting a guy's innings leads to healthier player moving forward. There is, the data doesn't support that. I'll trust him on that. If that's true, then this is a feel thing. And I still think, while what Ian Happ is saying, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's basically what he said on the radio, what Ian Happ is saying may be factually true. But that doesn't mean there aren't times where I don't think the guy has to pitch if he doesn't need to. So whether that means adding a starter to make that happen, or just taking him out after 5 1/3 today, even though he had 7 innings, and saying, you know what? We've got this game. And even though we're starting a stretch of 26 games in 27 days where the bullpen is going to get taxed, we still have an opportunity to just use a couple relievers tonight. Cade got his time in. Let's not waste him for another inning and risk anything beyond that. It's not like he's been spectacular. He's been good. To me, it seemed like the right amount tonight. Again, I'm going to trust Craig Counsell. This is why we hired the guy.
Sure. And that's fair to say. So I think his outing overall, he was good. He wasn't elite. He wasn't bad. I think it was fine. And he faced better hitters tonight than he had in his recent starts. And outside of a 116-mile-an-hour nuke into the center field wall that PCA somehow didn't catch, I didn't feel like there was any massive hard contact against him tonight. And, I think the Nationals lineup is, they scored a bunch of runs against the D-backs this weekend. So I thought what he did tonight was impressive. So just in the grand scheme of things, you're just hoping he continues to build and go through the ups and downs of what he is, which is a rookie pitcher who's trying to figure out how to establish himself in this league, right? So I think he's gotten a nice little. He's had the privilege of seeing the Mets offense and then getting a little bit of an easier test and then a little bit of a bump up tonight. I think overall he's certainly stepped in and helped this team have success while Shota Imanaga has been out. So
absolutely he has. 5 appearances for your number one pitching prospect. Are you happy with what he's done or not? The answer is yes. We can't all expect guys to come in and be, the best pitcher in baseball. Not everybody's going to come in and be Paul Skeens.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's generational.
Right. So, do you remember Caleb Killian coming up and how excited we were, and then it didn't go well? And Cade Horton has delivered in every game that he has pitched the opportunity for the Cubs to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all I ask for a young guy, first time in the big leagues. I don't care who he's pitching against. I've been encouraged by what I've seen. Now, we know some of what he's doing is tied to Shota Imanaga. Now, we heard Taylor McGregor say during the game, and Craig Counsell said before the game, we're still talking mid-June.
Yeah.
That's the hope. He reported to Arizona sometime today to start a rehab program, to which it's going to take some time. So we know that's time. And like you said, listen, I was hoping for this team to be 500 when Shota came back.
Yeah.
There's 16 games. There's 16 games over.
Yeah.
They've been able to fight through their top 2 starters being out. There's 16 games over. So has Cade Horton done his job? 150%.
Yeah.
Absolutely has. Now, the other update was Porter Hodge. Porter Hodge left out with the oblique, went on the injured list, and has Daniel Palencia stepped up with Porter Hodge out? 150% he has. Porter Hodge, though, now we're told, has a left hip impingement that has popped up. So it's not the oblique. Now the hip's bothering him. And so he may start throwing bullpens next week, but he's going to need a rehab assignment. Listen, you're talking a couple weeks here too.
Yeah.
So while we're all being hypercritical of every pitch these young guys throw, you better thank your lucky stars right now for Cade Horton and Daniel Palencia. And other guys too, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying young guys that you've called on and said, hey, the bell's ringing, time for you to step up. They have come in and they have stepped up. Those are 2 prime examples of the farm system showing you they're ready.
Yeah. And Matt Shaw, another double off the wall tonight.
His wasn't as linear.
Yeah.
Right? But it has been since he's returned.
And double off the wall tonight. He's given great defense at third. He made all the routine plays tonight. Tweeted today from CHGO Cubs. Minimum 240 innings played. 4 defensive runs saved puts him 4th. I think tied for 4th for most defensive runs saved among third basemen in baseball, which is wild just to say at all. I mean, he's on a list with Matt Chapman and, some of these other guys that have been in the league for a while. So he's been great defensively. And I think we all would like to see a little bit more power or a little bit more. You'd like to see him drive the ball a little bit more. And we saw that tonight. He did it twice. I thought the double off the wall was going to go out. And then his next at bat, I thought the same thing. And he hit it to the warning track. So his opposite field power is real.
Absolutely it is. And I think it's what's most impressive about him.
Mm-hmm. The farm system is really shining, like guys that we've talked about for the last handful of years. Palencia was always a guy that if you learned how to just have command, throw strikes, always felt like he could be a high leverage reliever. He's out here being a high leverage reliever when the Cubs need him to be. He's kind of, I guess in a way, became a lightning in the bottle type guy. But with the velocity he has, I've always thought that there was something in there. It's just he always had to find a way to command it. Shaw, obviously, we've talked about for a long time. He's had ups and downs. He didn't have a great series against the Reds with the bat. Bounces back against the Nationals tonight with the bat. I think that those 2 guys and Cade Horton have really shined for the Cubs and just the bare minimum of what they're asking them to do. It's not like they're doing anything like exceeding projections. I would say that they're performing at just what we would expect from them. in many ways.
Or what we hoped.
Yeah, it's not like Matt Shaw is out here the leading candidate for National League Rookie of the Year, and same thing with Cade Horton, right? Yeah. Palencia, I maybe he's a little bit more of a quote unquote exceeding projections like we talked about yesterday. But the point I'm making is related to him is we always knew he had the velocity and the stuff and stuff like that. It's just more about can he throw strikes?
Yeah.
And he started throwing strikes and he's, people are picking him up on their fantasy team off the waiver wire to get some saves,
Council talked recently about how he and Hodavi and the whole pitching crew they believed they'd seen this coming. They believed when they saw him, even in spring training and then starting with AAA, like they had seen something in him that let them believe he's ready to turn that corner. He's ready to flip the light switch. It's always been about that command because when you're throwing 99 to 102, that's going to play as long as you have that command of it. And he talked about how he's learned how to pitch, what he's looking for, how he knows where he needs to be, how you can't just waste pitches. All of those things that are part of the learning process, guys have to go through some of the struggles, which is AKA why I still say I'd like to see Busch face lefties a little bit more, especially when you're 16 games over. But sure. I digress. They have had young guys come up and really help them get to this 16 games over 500, especially with some serious injuries. Now, Matthew Boyd's another guy. He will start tomorrow against Mackenzie Gore. Gore's got 101 strikeouts.
On June 3rd?
On June 3rd.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
A lot of people want to say, hey, shoot for the ceiling. I think Ron is one of our guys that is always like Mackenzie Gore. Ron wants Mackenzie Gore.
Shout out to Ron.
Shout out to Ron.
Chat. I don't think he's here tonight.
I don't think he is either.
He did bring him up last week.
He'll listen in the audio form. He's always on our trips.
Yep.
He's a good vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants Mackenzie Gore. Now, I don't know why in their right mind the Nationals would give up Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a free agent until after 2028, but if you can find a way to get Mackenzie Gore and add him to the staff, that would make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
That'd make things a lot easier. The price will be strong.
Yeah.
Very strong.
I've been reading the chat this last 5 to 7 minutes, and there's a lot of discourse related to, like, would you trade Moises Ballesteros and, this or that. And if you've listened to the show for a long time, Moises Ballesteros is probably my favorite prospect as far as a hitter. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about the minor league system and everything, but I've thought very highly of him, and he's someone that I personally wouldn't move for a lot of players. But Mackenzie Gore is one of those guys. I would move Moises Ballesteros for. He's 21, but Gore is 26. He's got multiple years of control, and there's a high ceiling there. And honestly, when he was Padres prospect, like a lot of fans were hoping that we were going to trade Yu Darvish for him.
Yeah.
And that didn't go out. That didn't work out that way. And instead it was Owen Casey and a couple other lottery tickets. And I'm not trying to revisit that. The point is that Mackenzie Gore has kind of emerged as one of the better young pitchers in all of baseball. I mean, with years of control. And if the Nationals actually field calls for him, I'm willing to move a guy like Mo Baller for him. But it's very, very few players I'd be willing to do that. And I'm sure Mo Baller won't even be enough. I think for a guy like Mackenzie Gore, you're going to have to give away at least two top 100 guys. For
sure. With the control like that.
And with how expensive pitching is and how much money he's making.
The strikeouts are something this team needs, right? Like easy outs.
So
listen,
I'm not now if the Nationals aren't into Mo Baller and they'd rather want some other guys and they're still willing to do it, then yeah, of course. But I think that they're gonna want a guy like Ballesteros for Gore if they actually did move him. But that's just me talking. I don't know, but yeah,
I'm not saying trade Moises Ballesteros, and I know it's a heavy divide in the chat. People love him or are like, nah, he's too short. He doesn't have a position. He's a great hitter, but what is he going to be? Your DH? Yada yada yada. Yeah. I get it. We don't know about any of this. when you start talking about proven major league players like Mackenzie Gore, okay, versus prospect, I am always going to lean on the side of give me the proven major league player and I can give up the prospect, even though I might regret that prospect down the road. Do the Mets regret PCA for Javi? Yes, they do. And that will happen over time.
Yep.
Where the other team gets your guy. He might be the next big Poppy. I don't know that answer. But you can't just sit here and say, in my opinion, we can't trade Mo Baller, trade Casey, Alcantara, Triantos. If the other team's giving up Mackenzie Gore, you got to be willing to give up one of the guys that they really want. Yeah. And so, do you remember how hyped people were about Matt Merton? Or Matt Mervis? Matt Merton too, actually. Do you remember how hyped people were about Matt Mervis?
Yeah.
And then how hyped they were again this season about Matt Mervis, about how the Cubs had blown it. Where's Matt Mervis?
Yeah, he just got DFA'd and then got outrighted back within the Marlins organization.
He got DFA'd by a Marlins team that I just read a text message from my cousin that said the media counted 135 fans at the Marlins game against the Rockies tonight.
Jeez.
135. Okay, everybody settle down. Yeah. We know it's dangerous to have prospects traded, but that's why you have lots of them, and that's why you have people going over it, and they're going to get it wrong every once in a while, maybe even more than that. But you have to be willing to do it. Don't hold on to them too long till they have zero value.
Yeah, and I think Michael in the chat is kind of emphasizing that. That said, I don't think you can confidently sit here and compare Moises Ballesteros to Alexander Canario or Matt Mervis.
And you also can't sit here and compare him to Big Poppy either.
That's true. That is true. Again, I would move Moises Ballesteros if you're getting a controllable arm that's young. That's the only way that I would move him. But we'll see. And at the end of the day, I still don't think that the Nationals are going to trade him. If there's anyone on the Nationals that I'm kind of intrigued about, it might be some of their guys in their bullpen or, someone that maybe we didn't even see tonight. So, but as far as realistic stuff, I just, maybe pick up Jorge Lopez again and see if he can find lightning in a bottle. They just DFA'd him. I would love. I feel like Mackenzie Gore would be like the dream scenario in a way, but I don't know. Another name that I'm still intrigued about, despite how bad he is.
Are you talking about Nationals?
Not on the Nationals, but you mentioned Mervis, so the Marlins. I saw online today that the Cubs that someone predicts that the Cubs are going to get Sandy Alcantara
again.
Yes.
Okay.
But he's been awful, 8.50 earn run average.
Well, his price is dropping drastically.
His price is like if you were going to take a flyer. You know what I mean? But wouldn't you want to see?
But there's some control there too. So
yeah, you get him for another year after this.
You'd also be trading for. Now, obviously, you want this year to be the year, but you're also counting on another year after surgery is gonna be even better, and you'd be counting on your pitch lab can fix him.
Yeah, it would be like in a form of taking a flyer. I personally think that if they traded for him, that maybe they would throw him in the bullpen and then go from there. Start simple and then maybe next season they would throw him in the rotation. But we'll see what he does this next month. He pitched tonight, and the Rockies only scored 3 runs, so even though they lost.
DFA, designate for assignment.
Yeah, designate for assignment.
Listen, is there a chance that the price is dropping on him? Yes, I hope so. And I'm also hoping that while he's not having a good season, I'm hoping that continues for that reason. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also hoping that bad organizations make bad decisions and that the Marlins will make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Nationals. I'm hoping that the Nationals are ready to make a bad decision about Mackenzie Gore. They're like 5 games out of the wild card right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you would give up a if
cheap,
you're trying to rebuild.
Arm.
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that.
And I don't think the Nationals are like a bad organization. You look at
I don't either.
You look at the Juan Soto trade.
Yeah.
The Juan Soto trade is benefiting the Nationals more than it is the Padres. So anyway, yeah. Well, we have plenty of time to discuss about who the Cubs are going to trade for, but we all know that they need a starting pitcher.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. We're back tomorrow after tomorrow night's game. Until then, thanks for watching and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.